Hey, good people. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, May the 9th, 2025. It's another day that the Lord has made. We should rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Simene, the student teacher, and I wanted to come on because we are starting our 10-week series. It's called Book Breakdown. So thank you for those of you who got notified on my previous post, but I didn't realize I put 3 a.m. instead of 3 p.m. And so I had to create another live link. So for those of you who may have to catch the replay because of that, my apologies. And so here we are talking about book breakdowns. For some of us, I know for me, I've always been a writer. Even when I was a little girl, I would play school. I would be the teacher. I would create the tests. It was a lot of times it was spelling tests, and then I would turn around and be the student, and I would take the test. Right. So I've always loved to write. I used to write notes in school to my friends. I had a best friend. Her name was Amia. Um, I always think about her a lot. Her name was Amia. And name maybe the Lord will allow us to reconnect again. I haven't seen her since we graduated in 1999, but she was like best friends when I met her in middle school. And throughout middle school and high school, you have the ebbs and flows of some friendships, not all. But we would always write notes. We would always write letters to each other. And I remember I loved that. She had such a nice handwriting. And, people tell me I have nice handwriting. I love to write in number 2 lead pencils because it always stays sharp. I don't like when a pencil gets dull. So um I've always learned to write notes. And of course, when you have your little boyfriend, girlfriends, you write little notes. Hey, you want to go out with me? Check yes or no. And so I've always loved to write. I feel like, and I won't say I feel, but I know for a fact I'm a better writer than I am speaker. Because with writing, and even with speaking, depending on how you're speaking it, with writing, I don't feel pressured to hurry up and say something to give an answer. I can jot something down. I can go back and edit it later. I can get it out of my head and my heart, get it onto paper or in computer or iPad or tablet or phone and sit with it and then go back and reread those thoughts and then make corrections or additions or go back and read and say, wow, you wrote that, or wow, you thought that. So writing has always been a place for me to express how I feel. I used to do something called well, won't something, but it was a project I did before called Writing is My Therapy. Writing is a form of therapy for me. It really allows me to sit with how I feel and then get that out of my head. So I'm not sure how many of you have been writing for a long time or said you wanted to write something, or maybe you started writing, you used to be a writer and then you stopped writing and now you want to pick it back up. This is for you. For those of you who said that I'm going to write a book and I'm going to publish it in 2025. Maybe you've written the book already and you don't even know. My very first book that I published, it came from Facebook Lives. We was praying and believing God for the school system. We started in 2015. It was actually a conference call. I used to do it on the phone on Sunday nights. Not many people got on, but the Holy Spirit was there with me. And I mean, we will pray and pray and pray. And I seen God move. Then we went to Facebook Lives. I did it on my student teacher page. I was very apprehensive about being live. When I started making videos on Facebook, it was because when I moved from Charlotte to Maryland, it was like my only way to communicate with people that I left predominantly. I was in this place. I didn't want to be in Maryland because, I thought I was coming with my situationship, right? And that didn't happen. So I ended up being in Maryland by myself. And that year, it was a very hard year, my first year. And I remember I was reading Revelations one day when it said that the Lord prepared the wilderness for the woman. And I was like, Lord, you prepared this place for me. And my life changed exponentially once I moved to Maryland. I started getting in different environments, being around different people, going to different conferences, seeing how people use their gifts of writing and speaking to really create a life that they really enjoyed to live. And I will say this: environments matter. Where you are planted, it matters. The rooms that you in matter. The conversations that you have matter. The people that you're around matter. And I realized that I was able to accomplish so much in a short, significant time. One, because I had a mentor in the area that I was looking to excel in, which was writing. I met this girl. This was when Periscope was out. Her name was Dee Lee. She's out of Atlanta, but Dee Lee was a straight A student, was going to college on a scholarship. She's was living in Georgia, and that summer before she went off to school, her boyfriend decided he was going to go rob some people. She was a getaway driver, and then instead of Dee Lee going to college, she went to prison. And when she got out of prison, she had to feel like, well, I'm a felon, so I got to figure out how I can make money. And she started teaching how to people write books. I bought her course. It was a pre-recorded course for $97. I remember I didn't even have enough money to pay it. I didn't pay my cell phone bill that month so I can get the course. That's how I was able to publish my first book. I had already been writing, but that's how I was able to publish my first book. I got into that community and it was on from there because I got the framework, I got the blueprint. How can you publish a book from beginning to end, right? And so that was what helped me. Then I was able to connect with other men and women who were doing some amazing things. I got a coach. I got in these speaker programs. I got into an entrepreneurship program. I was able to find a lady who walked me through, how to start your business overview. And so you have to be in the right environment. You cannot be around people who are not going where you're going. You cannot be talking to people, having conversation with people who have no idea what you want to do. And for those of you who are visionaries, those of you who you have all these dreams and it seems like it's lofty dreams, hold on to your dreams. Don't let nobody doubt your dreams, even if it doesn't seem like it's coming to pass right now. Hold on to your dreams. Okay, hold on to your dreams. Now I'll say this last thing and we can get into the steps to writing a book. A lot of times people may rock with you at the beginning stage or whatever you tell them that you're going to do. So if you say, hey, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire, I'm going to start this business and all these wonderful things going to happen, right? And they with you until they feel like you are not going at the pace that they think you should go, or they feel like it's not taking off as much or as fast as they think it should take off, because they realize I'm trying to benefit from this, but if it don't hurry and take off, I ain't gonna be around to actually see it. And so, people tend to fall off. If they feel like it's not a benefit for them right then, or if they're not gonna stay around for the long haul, people kind of drop off. But you got to stay laser focused on your vision. Me being able to write opened up so many doors for me. I mean, there were so many people I've met from podcast interviews to going to share my testimony, to go to share my story. And so when I first moved to Maryland, that's when I really started having to actually write out my testimony, because I was in a class called All Things New, and they wanted us to do a testimony sharing service at the end of our class. And they're actually having one again on May 21st. And I was like, man, I wish I would have known sooner, because perhaps I would have changed the date to my event. We have an event coming up Wednesday, May 21st, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Beauty Beyond the Bruises. Beauty Beyond the Bruises. I'll share the flyer before we go. I'm excited about that. And so I had to write it out. I would write it down because, one, I was very nervous, right? So I write it down and I had to stick to a time. So I always timed it. And my mentor will always listen to me share my story. She was a person that I rehearsed this with all the time. Every time I had to get ready to share something, I shared the same. I mean, my story is my story, but different aspects of it I would include in every testimony that I share. And so you never got the same story from me you never got the same way I delivered it all the time. The story is the same, but different aspects of it changed depending on where I was at the time in my life, depending on what audience I was be speaking to. So I start writing that down. And the reason why I really felt the push to start publishing is because every time I would go, and this was predominantly in churches, right? Predominantly in churches or ministry events or women's events where, I was sharing my story, and people start, and a lot of them was mothers. So happy Mother's Day to all of you who are mothers. God bless you guys. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for birthing us. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for just unconditional love, right? Mothers, they love don't stop. Even if, and I can't speak to this because I have a mom very present, very much here, very much alive, very much well. But mother's love don't stop because you get an adult. And I don't believe your mother's love stop even if your mom has passed away. You may not be able to tangibly feel it, but I believe that a mother loves never stop. So hold on to those memories. If Mother's Day is going to be a painful event for you or a sorrowful event, I pray that God will shield you and cocoon you around other people. Do not isolate yourself. Do not isolate yourself. And even if you have to go around other people and be, a little melancholy, a little sad, or share a couple tears, do that. But don't isolate yourself, because that makes it even worse, right? Where you don't even have people that can console. You don't even have people that you can talk to. It doesn't have people that, you can be around and get a couple laughs in. And what I've learned is that I have quite a few people that I've known, that I've been in relationships with, that been friends of mine who do not have their parents. Some don't have either parent. Some may just have the father left and not the mom. Some people just have their mom left and not their dad. And some people don't have their mom or dad, right? But don't ever wish and be envious and be upset with people because they have something that you lost. Some people will hate people because they are still married and they got a divorce. Some people would disdain people because they still have their parents and they don't. Don't do that to people, right? Do not do that to people, especially people that you say you love. So, nonetheless, happy Mother's Day to all of you that's going to be that are moms and that's going to be celebrating or celebrated. God bless you, right? So, here we are. When I first started writing my story and writing my testimony and going around, it would be mothers who would come up to me and say, "Can I have a copy of your testimony?" And I'd be like, "What?" Because I would take my paper with me, right? You see, I got printed papers. I don't like printed papers online so much because it makes a lot of noise. So I'm gonna try to make sure I don't make a lot of noise in this video, but I want to print out because I have so many PDF, so many ebooks, so many pamphlets that I'm gonna share with those of you that's gonna take this 10-week journey with me. But they would always ask, and I was like, okay, so I would give it to them. And then depending on what I added in that testimony, depending on where I was, and they asked, can I have a copy of that testimony? I would take their email and I would email it to them, right? And sometimes I would go home, I would edit certain things out because that wasn't something that I just kind of wanted to just share out. A lot of these ministry events, some of them was recorded, some of them was not. I share a lot online that's going to be beneficial and help to other people, but there's only certain things that I would share, certain parts of my story that I'll share when there's an intimate space where it's not being recorded, where it's not going to get out, because sometimes your story includes other people. Now, do I ever shy away from telling my own story? Absolutely not. Am I conscious of the things I say online? Yes, because people will take that and run with it and twist it and all of that, right? So for some of you, you haven't written your story because you worried about how other people gonna feel about what you say, but it's your story. And unfortunately, because we live in a world where we're around other people, sometimes what we say or what happened to us or what we experience includes other people. I'm telling my story. I'm sorry that you were included in it. Now, this is the thing. Don't just tell the bad parts of what someone else did to you. You got to tell everything, right? So when I tell my story, I include the bad, the good, the bad, the indifferent, the ugly that I did too, as well as what I experienced. Now, one thing the Lord told me when I first came out and started making videos, that was way in 2015, and I still stand on that to this day. He says, Simene, when you come out, you're not name dropping. The only name you're dropping is Jesus, because if I be lifted up, I draw all men to me. So there are so many times when things have happened to me, and people have said all kinds of stuff about me and did all kinds of stuff to me in my personal life that I be wanting to come out and share. I be wanting to go off. But it was like, nope, this is not why he gave me this platform. He said, you not name dropping, you mentioning Jesus, right? And I remember he told me this, I think it was 2016 when I first took a flight. My first time ever flying was in 2016. I went to Atlanta. Well, it wasn't even in Atlanta, it was in Georgia. It was, the name is, the city escapes him, but it wasn't Georgia, about an hour away from Georgia. But I remember there was a deliverance minister there that I want to take a picture with, and he kept saying, "Oh, I gotta wait for my wife to come back, and can't take a picture right now." And I got a little discouraged. I'm like, man, he's so powerful. I want to take a picture with him. And I remember I got in that car. I rented a car once I got there, and I remember Holy Spirit said to me, He says, "You are the platform. Let me build you." I never forget it. And so, a lot of times you don't understand influence is costly. And if God has ever called you to a great work, if God has ever called you to ministry, you got to understand that there's a lot of wrestling that sometimes we have to do to even get up and say, yes, Lord. There is a conviction that you have in your life that, oh my gosh, I done did X, Y, and Z, and yet I'm still supposed to do all of this for the Lord, right? So pray for people, when you see people out doing things, because you really don't know the cost. It will cost you everything. You will lose relationships. People will walk out on you. I'm telling you, it will be a lot. So that's how I first started writing. I would share my story, my testimony, and people start coming up to me asking me, can I have a copy of your testimony? I'm like, oh my gosh. And so, I haven't really still shared the fullness of my own personal story. The name of the book, and I started this book probably 2012, 13, when I was still living in Charlotte. A daughter's cry to her fathers. That's the name of the title. And unless the Lord changes it, that's going to be the name of the title. That's going to be my autobiography story. My daughter's cry to her father. And it's going to take me through the journey of my brother, my oldest brother, my dad, my second oldest brother now that's passed away. His birthday's coming up Wednesday, Tuesday. My gosh. Right. It takes you to the journey of all of those things, but that's why I'll share the fullness of my story. But I've always been in education, right? That was my career once I graduated from school. And so when I started praying heavily for the schools, we would come on Facebook Live. I would write my prayers out every night, study, get the word that I was going to minister that morning. And when I came on, I was on my student teacher page. When I first started making videos, I will record the videos on my phone and I would upload them like at midnight, like 1 a.m. And I remember one of my students, Marquesha Brinkley, shout out to Marquesha. When I said that girl gave me a run for my money, 8th grade at infant middle school, my gosh. But by the time the end of the year came to a close, her heart was softened towards me, and it was like, okay, girl, because you gave me a really hard time. But she sent me a message. She's like, Miss Warren, I watch your videos. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Right. So I get a couple comments, a couple views, right? And I just kept doing it because it was encouragement. People would send me messages and I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. So that's how that all started. And then I went to Facebook Live on the student teacher page. So if you're not following the student teacher page on Facebook, guess what? We back on Facebook. I got back in my Facebook account today. Thank you, Lord. I'm going to go live on my Facebook page after this. So if you are following me on Facebook, Simene Walden, or student teacher page, hop over there. I'm going to tell you how I got back into my Facebook account and share some more gems with you and talk about all the things that we got coming up. And so I started going live on my student teacher page. I created that page, focus on prayer in schools, focus on the speaking and the writing portion of what I do. And I had we used to do Speak Life, and it's ironic because the Lord is so kind. He connects you with other like-minded people. I used to do Speak Life. That was the name of my podcast. We used to do it every Sunday at 6 p.m. I had multiple guests. They said there was a lead in all the videos and all that stuff. Hopefully it's still there, but you can go see all the reviews on the student teacher page of everybody I've had up there, or those who did the actual reviews. You can see that. And when I got on and started to pray, I would never be in the camera. I would be on my knees, on my face praying, because it felt weird to get on to be praying to people that you really can't see online. I never want to be about me trying to, be something that, So, and after a while, then I was pray. And that's how that first book came out. Prayers. Standing on his words, prayers and devotion, every educator can pray. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week to all the teachers out there. This is last day celebrating Teachers Appreciation Week in 2025. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. If you go to my Instagram, you see all of the things, all of the shout outs I gave to Teacher Appreciation Week. I wasn't on my Facebook, so I couldn't do it. I posted once or twice to LinkedIn. But happy Teachers Appreciation Week to every teacher out there. Thank you for what you do. And that's how it became my first book to publish. And so why do I say all of that? Because I want to give you the backstory. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a past. Everybody has all these things, experiences happen to them to lead us up into where we are right now. Now, 10%, I don't know. So my computer's on 10%, so we're gonna have to kind of speed it up now. I'm sorry I didn't know that, otherwise I would have bought my charger in here. So the first book breakdown, I'm giving you steps on. Remember, it's 10 weeks. If you follow me for the next 10 weeks, or say I'm just catching this now and all 10 videos are up here. If you go in the order of these videos listed, by the time you finish watching them all, you would know how to publish, or you would know how to get your book written and published from start to finish. So stick with me. The first thing is, and I'm only going over step 1 today. The first thing is you got to write the manuscript. You got to write the manuscript. For some of you, you have already written it. It may be on your Facebook page. It may be on your social media. It could be your Instagram post. It could be some quotes that you posted online. You can take all of that and extract it and put it in a book. You just got to go and categorize it and all those things. But the first thing is to write your book. Stop overcomplicating it. Stop acting like it's a daunting task. It's really not. Now, for some of you might say, well, I don't like to write. Guess what? They have programs now where you can open up Google and Google Voice, and it'll transcribe what you're saying. So you're not even writing it, you just speaking it, and it's transcribing it for you. Obviously, you have to go back and edit it, but don't make excuses. There's so many different programs, so many, especially with, I don't even use that. Especially with our artificial intelligence, there's a lot of programs that will write your book for you, right? Now, I would stay away from just putting in a topic and, letting it tell you what it is. You know your own story. Artificial intelligence cannot reproduce and recreate your own lived experiences. They cannot, right? So you got to get it out your head, out your heart, onto a piece of paper, onto a tablet, into some type of written form, whether it's in your computer, your iPad, your PC, your phone, or in notebooks. I love notebooks. God knows. I just went and got a pack of 8 out the garage, out the barn last night, because I need to start back writing, like physically writing. I love to write. When I go to church, I have to take a notebook, or some little notepad. I have to write down, because otherwise I be all off. I don't really be paying attention. Sometimes I have a notebook. I just type in my phone in the note section, but I actually like a notebook. I have notebooks of notebooks and notebooks of notes. And I like it because at a random time, I will find it and I'll go back and read it and say, oh, wow, Lord. So you got to write your manuscript, okay? So again, if you a person that's use social media and you posting quotes or you posting different things, go back and extract that. I'm thinking about a sister I met some years ago. Her name is TT. And it was right before school was about to start. It was right before I did my first book launch. And Lord, please let this thing not go out while I tell the story. My first book launch in Maryland, we started doing the book tours in 2017. I did it August 2017. My pastor at the time, God rest her soul, I said a message to her daughter yesterday. I was like, Apostle Nikki is missed deeply. Like, I haven't even really been able to process that this lady is not here anymore. She came to the event. A lot of my church, a lot of people that went to the same church with me came to the event. My brother that's now passed away, he was there, like my accountant, taking the money. My friend from Philly, she came down. She was like the MC. It was just filled with love. One of the substitutes, she was 88 years old, Miss Stella. She came to the event. I met her teaching. She was a substitute one day, and when I got sick, and she just was like, when I met you, it was something about you, young lady. She would write me Miss Estelle would write me letters. She would write cards. She would send cards to me in the mail. She never gave me her number. She would email to just say, hey, I sent you something, but she was a writer. She met her husband. I went to school in Fayetteville State. She told me how she met her husband. She met him like there was at an orchestra or something in Fayetteville. But they met and got married 30 days later, and they've been married for like 50 some years. And so that's how I met her. And she came, a lot of my coworkers came. It was just an awesome time, right? But I remember I came down that weekend before that, and I went into the grocery store with my mom in Hosky, North Carolina, and it was this lady. She had a really nice updo, and I was like, "Who did your hair?" She says, "Oh, a girl named TT. She's just down the street. She's trying to tell." I was like, "Oh, okay, you have her number." She gave me her number. I called her. And she says, "Yeah, you can come." I think it was the next day I came. She did my hair, nice little cute updo style, or maybe it was a week before. But she did my hair, and we stayed connected ever since. She's like, woman of God, oh my God, I had my books. She bought 2 of my books. She started like telling people about them, and then she went through a breast cancer. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. This lady would document everything she went through. Every time she went to a doctor's appointment, I don't care, when she was hurt, when she was in pain, she would document. She would send me a message. She would send me a text. I wish I would have kept all the messages. She sent them through me a text message. If she still has her text messages to this day, her book is already done. When I said she was in detail, her blood pressure was this, and I'm feeling like this, and this is the pain. This is what the doctor, she documented that whole process for me. And I kept saying, Lord, why should I say this? She would send it to me because she would say, you my prayer warrior, I want you to pray. And I would pray and I would encourage her. But it just blessed me to like this lady that I really did not know. She did my hair one time and we stayed connected ever since. And she felt so compelled to tell me what was going on in her personal life. Why am I sharing that story with you? Because some of you, if you go back and look at your text message, some of you go back and look at your email, you've already written a book. It don't have to be this long, extensive book about your whole life, because the Bible says we come in the volumes of the book. So we would be writing from now to eternity if we decide to write everything about our life. You got to figure out what parts do I want to share, what subject, what topic do I want to share. My very first book is volume 1, prayers and devotionals every educator can pray. It's prayers in there for the academic system. In the back it starts standing on his word for the student edition, right? That's coming out this year. It's volume 1. I'm coming out with volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5, right? So stop overthinking that it's so much I want to share. It might be so much you want to share, but what is the part that you can write and share right now? Go back through your text messages. Go back through your emails. Figure out what have I already shared to people. Go back to your social media. And if you're like, well, I don't have any of that, then you start writing. What comes to your mind right now? What is it that you want to share with somebody right now that can help them? I don't believe when people say your story ain't for you. Your story is absolutely for you. It's for you and the other people that's going to hear it and benefit from it later. What can you share, right? And I would say there's 3 versions of your story you need to share: the hurting version, the healing version, and the helping version. We all have stories of how we were hurt. We hurt other people. We can all talk about how we've healed from that, because a lot of us are still in the healing process. I still got my Pretty Heal shirts, right? We did the black and white hoodies on relaunch. You can still get a hoodie. You can order. You can just send me a message. In the spring, probably around well, I mean, I guess it's spring now. But around June, I'm going to drop the t-shirts for the summer, right? So you'll be able to order them Pretty Heal. I got to decide which 2 colors we're going to do. I'm not going to do multiple colors. I'm going to focus on one color and get that pushing, right? So you got to write this. So get it down, write it on a paper, get it out your head and out your heart. You got to get it somewhere. Once you write it down, right? And this may take you a little bit of time, but I need you to start. You're going to put it in Microsoft Word. You might have to copy and paste. You're opening up Microsoft Word. Why am I doing Microsoft Word, Simene? Because I'm going to give you a template. And when you usually upload, I use Ingram Sparks. You're going to upload it as a PDF. Can you use a Google document? Yeah, but it's better to use Microsoft Word document. So write it in Microsoft Word. Open up Microsoft Word document. If you don't have Office, please get Office, right? And do a Microsoft Word document. So now you got to put it down. Write the manuscript. When you come to the end of the story and you feel like I've shared all I want to share on this, then you're done. You can always go back and make updates. You can always go back and do updated edition. You can always go back and do another volume to that, right? So don't feel like it got to be a super long book, because guess what? It don't have to be a super long book. We'll get into like the book size and all the different things as we go. But the first thing I need you to do is write your book. Write your book. Get it out your head and your heart and write it down, okay? If you write more after you said you were done, hey, praise the Lord. You got more to add to it, but get it on a piece of paper. Get it out your head, get it off of social media. And I'm not saying delete it off of social media. I'm not saying go back and delete the emails. No, what I'm saying is extract it from there as well to use it in a published manuscript. Something that I've been learning as I've been listening to these podcasts over the last week is that whenever you do something, when it comes to content, figure out at least 4 different ways you could use it. Right? Some of you may do more than 4. Some of you may just do 2, but figure out 4 different ways you can use it. You may not use all 4 different ways right now, but use it. So my Facebook Lives, right? It became a prayer that I wrote down. First, it was a prayer I wrote down in my own notebook and I typed up. Then it became a Facebook Live. Then it became a book. And I can also turn it into a course. And a lot of times I use it in my speeches. There's 5 different ways to do one piece of content. Okay, one piece of, a piece of writing, a piece of literature, something that you have. So figure out, how can I use this in multiple ways? So your story, your book, part of it could already be on social media. It could be in your emails, right? You could start a newsletter. You could publish in a book. You can do a short ebook. You can write a blog. Think about all the ways you can do it. But the first step is to write it. The first step is to get it out your head and your heart onto a piece of paper. Okay. The first step is just to write it. All right. So that's book breakdown for May the 9th, 2025. Write the book, write the story, get it out your head and onto a piece of paper, into a Word document. Okay. Next week, we're going to come back and talk about all the thoughts you may have about it, how you feel about, depending on what you wrote and depending on, what I'm saying, who's included in it. We're going to talk about their mindset, because this is the thing. If you don't believe that you can do it, then you're not going to do it. If you feel like, oh my God, there's something that the Lord shared me once I did my second anthology with a group of ladies. He said it was something called writer's remorse, or I forgot the exact word now, but where people will feel bad that they wrote it and published it. They wrote it, they went through the whole process, and then they feel bad that they did it because they, it included their real story that happened to include people that they love. So we'll talk about the mindset next week, because once you start going back and reading what you wrote, you might start having, different doubts. So whatever you put on your piece of paper, this week, today, do not change it. Okay. Do not change it. Wait till we get to week 2, where we'll talk about how to battle all the thoughts that you're thinking about what you wrote. So don't change nothing. Just write everything that comes to mind down. And next week, we are going to dig deep into that. Next week, I will have some links for you where you can download some of the affirmations. You'll be able to download the PDF. You'll be able to download the ebooks. I'll share some websites that you can use as we go through the process. So thank you guys for tuning in today. I look forward to next week for week 2, a book breakdown, where we'll go to the next process, which is talking about title and title pages, and the next steps after that. So that's what we'll talk about next week. And so I love you guys today. Go and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm about to go live on Facebook, sharing with them how I end up getting back in my Facebook account. And so I look forward to seeing you guys next week, May 21st, 2025, right here on YouTube at 7:30 p.m. We're doing Beauty Beyond the Bruises, our virtual summit. So tap in with us. I look forward to talking to you real soon. Peace.